If there's a movie, he's gonna rate it. He's gonna talk to his friends and they'll debate it. He's gonna try his best to not be a hater. His name is Billy the Movie Grader.
Hello and welcome back to the Movie Grader and Friends podcast. I am Billy, the Movie Grader, and in this episode, I am once again joined by my good friend Shoshana. Say hello, Shoshana.
Hello.
Welcome back, everybody. In this episode, we will be discussing It Chapter 2, the second and final part of the Pennywise story, taken from the popular Stephen King book, It. It Chapter 2 takes place back in Derry, Maine, 27 years later, drawing the gang back to the town to finish off the clown for the future of Derry. It, too, was directed by Andy Muschietti, and it was released on September 6th, 2019, 2 years after the first part was released. It stars Jessica Chastain, James McAvoy, Bill Hader, and Bill Skarsgård. Shoshana, what were some of your favorite scenes?
So one of my favorite scenes was when the Losers Club reunite at the Asian restaurant. And that was just, it was before they even talked about why they were there. It was just very organic that I felt like they were been friends for 27 years. And it was funny. You know, you kind of wanted to go on a little more because you're like, oh, they're catching up. This is funny. And they're doing, you know, like it kind of reminds you of your friends. Sure. So, and then you're just kind of like with them. So I thought that was a really good scene. Another scene was actually near the end, not giving it away. Yeah. Spoiler, but it was when Bill Hader sees Pennywise with the deadlights, and that's all I'm saying. His acting,
right? Yeah,
his acting. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Was just Bill Hader.
He did a good job there.
A really good job.
I mean, the acting across the board was all well done. I mean, they had pros there. I mean, Jessica Chastain and James McAvoy and Bill Skarsgård. Even though Pennywise wasn't in it all that much, you know, for close to a 3-hour movie, he barely had any screen time. So he was in the first one more.
Yes, and I totally agree that the acting was amazing, and I thought it like I said, it was very organic, and the actors, the older actors look like the younger actors. And I think if you like watch, you know, interviews of the producer and director, they said they wanted that to make it look like believable, which it did. Yeah. Which it totally did. And they did a great job.
Yeah, and like they kept some of this the I guess how would you'd say parts of their past. Yeah, mannerisms and parts of their past with them. Like Jessica Chastain's character still smokes cigarettes as she did as a kid. And they still had like the glasses on Bill Hader's part. So that was cool. Little throwbacks and flashbacks to the first movie. And which they woven pretty well too, the flashbacks all throughout the movie to keep you abreast of what happened before and how they got to this point in the story. That was interesting to me. I like the flashbacks.
I agree. I thought the flashback scenes were really tied well together with the editing, but you could tell there was a lot of editing that was made to keep the story moving. I know it was like 3 hours long. But you have to look at the book. The book is over 1,000 pages. Yeah,
I've never read the book.
I didn't read the book either, but because of this movie, I did go out and buy the book.
Oh, you are going to read it?
Yes, I am going to read it. Definitely. So, and, but yeah, I for me, it didn't feel like 3 hours long because I'm a Stephen King fan. Yeah. And I read 2 of his books. Yeah. So.
I mean, for me, it was a bit too long.
I can understand. No, I understand. Because some, you know, like if you're a Stephen King fan and a fan of the book, I think the 3 hours is not going to do it justice. Yeah. But for people who just kind of like, oh, I'm just going to see a scary movie and it's about this evil clown, you just be like, wow, this is a long movie.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't really scary either. I mean, like, there wasn't much in this one. The first one was by far funnier. And like, I guess the first one didn't really scare me either. I was laughing the entire time, but
me too. I was laughing in both movies. So.
Yeah, I was laughing more at the first part rather than the second part, because I guess in all fairness, it is a bit more serious because they try
They're
to
older.
end Pennywise, and yeah, they're a bit older. Well, bottom line, I enjoyed the first part more.
No, I understand. No, I totally understand. And plus, like with chapter 1, they're little kids and their just main focus was survive, middle school and high school and dealing with this crazy clown. But when you're older, you have more responsibility, you have relationships, you have your family, you have your job. And
exactly.
Yeah, I think that's why people like the first one more, because there's not much for kids to really, in that movie at least, kids to worry about. And so, I think the reason why it wasn't so scary is the scary parts were, so you have to like think about, it wasn't just the jump scares that are just not scary. I think it's more of the psychological, because Pennywise taps into people's fear.
Yeah. And I think they kind of touched upon that. They didn't explain it too well. I mean, I picked up on it and I knew, but for the people that just walk into there without seeing the first part, they'd be completely lost. But yeah.
Right. Totally. No, yeah, totally. They'll be lost. Like, what is he? Yeah. Why does he? I don't understand. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, why does he do it? And it so in Stephen King's world, I should say, or his universe, I should say, all the books tied together, including like Carrie, The Dark Tower, The Shining. Yep. We'll get to that in a minute. But like, so with Pennywise, they didn't really, they try to explain it, but I think when they come out with the Blu-ray, or the extended cut, they'll tap into more why Pennywise does it. But the reason why Pennywise does this is because this is his food. Think of it as the reason why he scares them is because it's like a seasoning. It's like makes it taste better. So
right. I mean, and the answer for the reason why is we can't explain because that'd be a spoiler.
Exactly.
But like,
and they explain that part actually in chapter 1, so that's not really a spoiler.
That's true too. But like another thing which they didn't explain that much, or if they did, maybe I missed it. But like they never explained exactly what the death lights are.
That is true. That is true. And I mean, they touched a little bit, but then they just kind of like, okay, let's go back to just clearing this clown because we need to kill it.
I was still confused. I still don't know what the death lights are, to be honest.
No, I understand. To not go more into, spoiler, but the death lights, like, because they do mention, like I said, they touch a little bit, but then they just go back, oh, we got to kill the clown. Yeah. And so, but what it is like it taps into your own insanity, and it slowly like kills you and eats you away. So I think that's why like Beverly didn't, in the first one she didn't die. It was slowly getting to her.
So if they're exposed to death lights, they get it taps into their insanity and they get drawn into the clown. Okay. I guess.
Yeah, that's why I think this movie was just so long, because they're trying to explain so much with so little time.
I was trying to understand Bowers too. I mean, like that whole scene where he was watching the red balloon throughout the psych ward. It was cool, but like
that was cool.
I didn't understand why him though. I mean, like why was he chosen to follow along Pennywise's, I guess, trap, I guess.
That is true. I mean, I guess because in chapter 1 he was like the Losers Club bully, so maybe that's why he picked him. Like, hey, they're all back,
I forgot he was in the first chapter. So.
Yeah. No worries. But like, but it's like I think that's why he chose him. Like, okay, I'm gonna pick a kid that the Losers Club really, is fearful or, don't like, and so I'm gonna just pick that guy. And then speaking of like being 3 hours long, so there was a mini series of Stephen King's It, and that was starred with Tim Curry.
Yeah, I did see that. I saw that years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it recently, so that way I can like compare and contrast.
Sure,
and
go for it.
I think back then it was good with the lack of technology, because the technology in this movie I thought was pretty well done.
Yeah, I mean, there were some parts of like the CGI that felt a little cheap to me, but
it was a little distorted. But compared to like the old miniseries, I'm like, wow, this is a big upgrade.
Yeah, I don't remember any of that from like the miniseries or however long that one was. That was pretty long too. So
It was, and that's why, yeah.
I did watch it, but like I felt, I don't know, that felt cheesy to me. I don't know.
It was
that wasn't cheesy. Scary either. So.
Yeah. I mean, because you got to look at back then. It was, it was a miniseries and it was on a budget and it was on TV. It wasn't a movie, so they added edit parts out. And but I have to say though, Tim Curry did an amazing job for what he had to work with in that film.
Yeah, he's a very talented actor.
Yeah, and they kind of make a nod to Tim Curry in chapter 2. It was in the fun house. There's these clowns that were going back and forth that you had to dodge. Right. And if you look at the costume and the way the hair was, that's a nod to Tim Curry. Like, hey, he was the first Pennywise to act as him.
I catch up on that.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, but I thought that was really nice. Like, we salute you kind of thing. Like, you were still a good Pennywise. So
that's cool. I mean, God, you have an eagle eye because those clowns are moving pretty quickly in there.
That's true. And they hurt apparently.
They knocked him over.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, and then that's like a one little like Easter egg, and then the other Easter egg, which we are getting back to, is The Shining. So.
What was The Shining in it?
So The Shining was part when so Beverly was like trapped, and people were trying to get in. And she was holding the door, and like people kept calling her name. And then one was, "Here's Johnny."
Oh God, of course, yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm like, and then like the audience would like, and the audience actually laughed, and I'm like, and I was just like, well played. That was really good.
Here's Johnny.
Yeah. And so, and of course, Stephen King himself, who was in it.
Yeah, the shopkeeper or the antiques shop owner, I guess, whatever that was, that little store.
Yeah, it was like a pawn store, like an antique.
Pawn shop.
And I like it how they kind of like said, "Oh, do you want me to sign your book?" And he's like, "No."
Yeah. I know.
That was good.
Yeah, being that Stephen King is an author, it's kind of like a dig at him. It was pretty funny.
Right, exactly, like a real world famous author. And also they kept poking fun, saying the ending wasn't good because a lot of his fans, some of his fans just don't like the ending of his books. Oh. So yeah, that's what I kept saying. That's what kept saying.
Ending sucked.
Ending, yeah. So that was like, and they just kept poking at it, and even he said it. The ending sucked. Like he was in on the joke, and I like how it didn't hurt him. Like he wasn't mad.
He was a good sport about it.
He was really good. So there was really good, there was really good stuff. But what was it? There was another Easter egg. Was they say "beep beep Richie," which is actually a line from Stephen King's book.
Oh, really?
Losers. Yeah, the Losers Club used to poke like fun, not like to be mean, right? To Richie and be like "beep beep Richie." So they only said it once. I'm like, oh, they said that in the book and they said that in the miniseries. So
that's why you're here. You catch up on all the stuff that I don't.
No worries. I know, because I said like if you're a Stephen King fan, I think you would enjoy this movie because you're like, oh, there's an Easter egg. Because you have to rewatch it, and so yeah, right. and I do want to rewatch it to see the other stuff I miss.
I don't know if I can sit through it again.
No
for
worries.
3 hours.
I'll sit it for you. How about this? I'll sit it for you again, and I'll just tell you what you missed.
By all means.
But I have to say though, Bill Hader really did shine in this film.
Yeah, he's great.
I thought he did.
I enjoy his work in the HBO series Barry. If you haven't seen that, you should.
Okay, I will. I'll definitely check it out.
It's about like an actor, a serial killer turned actor. He falls in love with acting. It's very well done. Okay,
I'll definitely check that out. And which is actually different from Bill Hader, because usually he's known for comedy.
Yeah.
Bill Hader. Okay, so Bill Hader said since this was his first time acting in a horror film, he struggled to act scared because his natural reaction to being scared was to nervously smile. And I think you could kind of catch some of that in the movie. Yeah. So, but he did look scared at some times. So at
some points.
Yeah, I mean, but it's Bill Hader. So
now that you've mentioned that, like we're looking back on Barry, Yeah, he does kind of smile a lot.
Yeah. Yes.
I guess it is true. It's his tactic that he uses.
Yeah. No. And what was it? And another good comedy part, even though this is supposed to be, I could get like, even though it's supposed to be a horror, but I also saw this as a thriller in my sense. But
Right.
the I'm just gonna say the Pomeranian dog, and I'm just gonna leave it
Oh,
as that.
oh God, he was so cute.
That yeah, he was so cute. I'm like, I kind of want to I want that dog.
I knew he wouldn't remain cute, but
Right. I mean, because you're in a Stephen King film, so but it
right.
was just funny. It was just funny, like how they kind of like tapped into that. So
Yeah.
so
And the
yeah.
whole scary, not so scary, and what was the third one? Very scary or something, right? It was
Yeah, yeah.
the doors.
And he's
That
like,
was
and I like,
pretty funny.
it was, and he's like, how about next time we just pick the scary part?
Oh God.
So
I know. Yeah, when I first saw that dog though, I was just like, oh my gosh, that thing is adorable.
I
Let's see
know,
how
and
how this can go wrong.
I know, right? I hope on set they didn't scare that dog.
Oh, it was CGI. That dog wasn't real.
Oh man. You never know though. They could just be
No, it
like,
was
okay, just tell the dog to sit. Okay, cut Ed
no
out,
that
and then
that that, that dog was too perfect to be real. I
that's
mean,
yeah. I mean, but it was a cute dog. If it was a
yeah.
real dog,
I mean, I hope it is real. I hope somebody actually owns that dog.
I
But
know it's so cute. It
it was
was really cute.
that was CGI.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of the CGI, what do you think of it? I'm just curious because I remember you said it was.
Yeah, it was so-so. I mean, like it's been done better in other movies.
True.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the budget of this movie was, substantial, but
It was pretty big. Yeah.
I don't think it went all to CGI. I mean, that it has a pretty big cast in it, and I'm sure they don't come cheap. So,
No, no. But I would say it was pretty good. It wasn't like spectacular, but it wasn't like cheap. Like you could see the strings, and it wasn't like the
oh no,
miniseries.
no.
So,
Well, that was
so
years ago, though. I mean, the made for TV production, of course. I mean,
right.
that was years ago.
I know. But still, I thought it was pretty good. And then
Yeah,
I thought. And then another little like tidbit or behind the scenes thing is the actor who plays, Pennywise.
yeah.
He said after filming he had nightmares of actual Pennywise, and in his dream he had to fight off Pennywise, which I thought that was pretty interesting
Oh,
because
really?
yeah, because he played it.
Yeah,
He didn't have to look himself. I mean, of course, he looked himself in the mirror because he had to put the makeup on and the costume.
yeah.
But it wasn't like he had to look at himself and be scared on set.
Well, yeah. Well, especially because he wasn't in this one that much.
He wasn't in that much also in the first one because there was a lot of CGI.
Well, yeah, but as far as like dialogue, though, he had way more dialogue in the first part than he did in this one. It felt like, especially like that was such a great scene in the first one where he's with Georgie in the sewer, and
That was
it's
really
like,
good.
"Hey, how you doing, Georgie?"
That was really good. No, that was but that was
You know?
but that's like such iconic scene too.
Yeah,
That's
it's. I
so
mean,
iconic. That's
they
true.
set the bar really high there, and they did
That's
nothing.
true.
Nothing ever lived up to something that good. I mean, that was just like there will be an iconic scene for the movie. I mean, it
Oh
was
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and it's still iconic, with having the balloon coming out and everything.
Yeah.
And I like how they involve the balloons in this too. Like, because
Uh-huh.
that's Pennywise. Like, oh, that's Pennywise. Because now when you
Right.
think red balloons, you're like, is Pennywise here? Like, like is he wait like so? And I was reading like in some promotions, some movie theaters had red balloons everywhere, and then
Right.
the people would dress up in yellow. Like they would have yellow raincoats and everything. So,
Right.
but yeah, like it kind of has that eerie feeling, like he's
Yeah.
still, yeah, he's like watching
A
you.
red balloon carries with it a sense of fear now for people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's what Pennywise is. He taps into your fear. So I think that's why people were kind of disappointed because they weren't scared of like the jump scares or. But I think it was more scary with the psychological. I mean, look at Beverly's background. Her dad was just abusive to her, and and that can just tap into fear. And then also, the kid who is overweight and poking fun and saying you'll always be, so that's like a huge fear. And fear doesn't always mean to have to be like a scary thing. It could be like, it could be just something you're working on. So I think that's what people have, that misconception of what is scary.
Fear is different for everybody.
Exactly.
And I guess that's part of what the story is too. I mean, everybody has a different fear. I mean, I'm not deathly afraid of clowns. There's other people that could, that could walk into it, in the theater, and they could have a heart attack.
Exactly, yeah. Or they could just start screaming during, and I'm sure it happened. Like they were just screaming, and then they walked out like, that's it, I can't handle it anymore.
Yeah. It's like,
so luckily,
common sense is stay away.
Right. I mean, luckily my theater, no one was scared. We were laughing and having a good time. But like, I enjoyed the film, and I like how they incorporated the Stephen King universe. Because what people don't understand about the Pennywise is in the universe, because he ties it together with another book of his called the Dark Tower series. And in the Dark Tower series, Pennywise has like there's like the opposite of it, because Pennywise represents evil. There's another thing that represents good, which is like the turtle.
Isn't Pennywise like an alien as well? Supposedly, he's not really a human, like clown.
He is, and that's why I think that's why in the movie they kind of touched up on it. And if you see like they show a picture of it, you can see like a star kind of fall from the sky. He's an alien. He's actually like he's an alien and he has to feed off of, and he's afraid of the turtle, and that's why if you see like turtles throughout the movie, it's because that's the entity of good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So again, if you were a Stephen King fan, you're like, oh, there's the turtle.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I had no clue about that.
Yeah. No worries. That's why I think they were trying to shove everything into a 3-hour movie.
I can only imagine what like the director's cut version is like on on DVD or Blu-ray, which they'll release later on.
Oh yeah.
Stretch it out to like 5 hours.
Or like 6 hours, Like I think I did read that the director is gonna like have chapter 1 and 2 together on like the Blu-ray, special edition where it's longer. I could just imagine it's just long. Just very long.
Yeah, it was too long for my taste. I mean, they could have chopped off a good half hour, 45 minutes, and I would have been okay.
No, it's kind of like Harry Potter. They had to make a part 1 and 2. So.
Oh yeah, I never made it that far. God, I don't know which one it was, but it was the last film I saw was the one with Umbridge. That mean woman with the whichever one that was.
You gotta finish that.
She did a great job. I enjoyed her character. I wanted to kill her, but
that was the whole point. But like, I can understand why it was so long. It's kind of like Lord of the Rings, also. Like that was long. That was very long. And then if you buy the special edition, it's like 4 or 5 hours.
Extended editions.
Oh my, yeah. That's a really long movie.
Like, I can't carve out the time in order to watch those.
It's good for like if you're a really good fan. If you're like a huge fan, like they'll do it. So like if you're a Stephen King fan, people will go out and buy the extended edition.
Sure.
So.
Sure. He's been in the game for a long time, and he's got a huge amount of fans, and he'll give the people what they want. They'll release some special edition, extended edition, so.
Yeah. Okay. And another Easter egg was when Bill was writing his novel. He wrote No Good Friends, No Bad Friends. And Bill's writing the novel, actually. It's Stephen King's novel, It.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool. That's another Easter egg. So.
That's cool. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, I got a super fan here.
So what do you rate it? I'm curious what you rate it.
Let's see. I gave it a C+.
That's not terrible.
Well, it
No,
wasn't terrible. It just wasn't
terrible.
like, oh my gosh, I have to go see this again. It was fine. I mean, it was like, did I hate it? No. Did I love it? No. So, yeah.
No worries. Like I said, I think it's because if you're like a fan of the book, if you're a fan of Stephen King, and if you like Easter eggs, you're definitely gonna really like this movie. But for like people who are just like, oh, I just want to be scared, I'm gonna walk in, they might not like it entirely, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. And so,
Yeah.
but for me as a fan, I give it a B+.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair for you. You're the
Yeah.
fan. Yeah, it was made for you. I mean, like what I did like about it too, though, is like I think Derry is a beautiful little town. I mean, if that were real, awesome. I would go visit that place in a second. I mean, I did like all the visuals of Derry and all that old looking style of like a cute little quaint town. I guess in the east, yeah, it's in Derry, Maine. So
Yeah, I would visit it, but not after the every 27 years. I would do it on the off days of 27 years. Then I would visit Derry. Just not when Pennywise is present.
What's the matter, Shoshana?
Right. I just don't, there's some stuff I just don't want to be, killed right now.
Just
I just
avoid
don't.
the sewers, you'll be fine.
I know, right? Just avoid all the sewers. Don't take a bath. Just avoid, fun houses, and you'll be fine.
Be easy. Don't worry.
So, but yeah, I give it a B+. So,
B+.
and yes, the setting was great, and I thought the music was great too.
Kind of like a horror movie would sound. I mean.
I mean, I like it how, I guess there's synthesizers or violins. When like Pennywise is lurking, like that's his theme song.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like prior. I mean, like horror movies are, somewhat formulaic. I mean, like by now I kind of like know when the jump scares are gonna happen, and like in this, and like to be fair, like I guess one of them got me. It's the like I can't really say what because I don't want to spoil it for everybody else, but it was when it takes place in the psych ward.
Gotcha.
And with Bowers, so
no worries. Yeah,
that's all I'll say.
Yeah, I'm actually a huge horror scary movie fan to watch, and if you know the formula, you'd be like, a jump scare is gonna come. Yeah. And so I didn't flinch during a jump scare because the formula was right there. Yeah,
but it's like, I mean, for that one though, like they stretched it out a bit longer than usual, so that's why it was able to get me. But
they did stretch it along. But yeah, but if you're, if you just walk in and you're scared of clowns, this is definitely gonna scare you. This is gonna scare you.
I guess. I mean, I got nothing against clowns, so it's like it didn't scare me, but it was entertaining. It was entertaining. It just got silly after like the almost 2.5 hour mark. I was like, I've had enough.
Yeah, I think like for an audience who just wanted to get scared, they're like, oh man, I gotta go to the bathroom. Are they gonna kill the clown, or they're just gonna, like, where's this going?
Well, like if the studios keep up these 3-hour long movies, I mean, people are gonna start wearing diapers to the theater.
Oh god. Oh my gosh. Back in the day, they did have intermissions. Sure. So I mean, they had intermission. You listen to pretty music while people go to the concession stand, go to the bathroom. So maybe they'll bring that back in. Well,
yeah, if they're going to continue making 3-hour movies, I'm all for an intermission.
Me too, actually. Me too, actually. I think that would be really nice. And like maybe they can, they could do their advertisement during that time. So
yeah, bring them back.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't mind if they do like an intermission, they show advertisements or just have a music or something. Fine by me, so that way I can go to the bathroom. I can go to the bathroom.
At least, so you're not running towards the bathroom once the credits roll. So.
Right, that's true.
You know,
And so
Avengers was guilty of that as well. So
that was a long movie.
or the way I got around Avengers, like I saw it a few times, but with it, I'm not really willing to go see it a second time.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. Yeah, no worries. I totally understand.
I did see all of it though. I didn't have to. I didn't have to go use the restroom.
Oh, I give you
a
props.
miracle.
I definitely no, I give you props for that. I definitely give you. For me, it didn't actually feel like 3 hours, and when I left, I'm like, oh wow, that was really. I mean, I knew before I come in the theater, I'm like, I know this film's gonna be long, but when I was watching it, it didn't feel long. So
yeah, a trick is to go to the bathroom and like during the previews.
yeah, the trailer. Yeah, just go during the trailers,
Yeah.
and then because there's gonna be at least 3 trailers or more.
Oh.
So
Well, at the AMC that I go to, it's always 20 minutes after the showtime. So it's like if it's a 3:00 movie, the real movie doesn't start till 3:20. So it's easy.
yeah, same with
to
mine.
get time.
That's same with mine. So I'm like, okay, it's 3:20. Yeah, and I added on extra as like part of the film, so I know it's gonna be longer.
Right.
It's gonna be longer than 3 hours.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move on to the fun part.
Okay.
The BuzzFeed quiz. Which Stephen King novel are you, Shoshana?
Here we go.
So the first question up is choose a haunted house.
Oh wow. There's a lot. Okay, there's a black and white one.
Oh.
One of them kind of looks like from the Addams Family. One of them kind of looks like a lighthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then some looks like kind of like from Derry. One looks like maybe an old lady. Let's see, which one would I pick? The one I would pick is probably the second to last one because that looks like kind of like I don't know if you ever seen Charmed.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's about like 3 good witches, help fight, evil and everything. That kind of looks like reminds me of Charmed. I was a fan of Charmed.
Okay, I got it. Okay. Let's see. Choose a scary movie. We got Alien, the Blair Witch Project.
Oh my gosh, remember that movie?
Follows. I've never heard of this one. Let the Right One In. Rosemary's Baby. Scream. That was a comedy.
Well.
Then there was The Ring, The Thing, and Get Out.
Oh wow. Well, you know what? I'm actually a fan of the Scream
films.
I know the rest of the sequels were not as up to par as the first one, but
they were all funny to me.
I know. And I watched all of them. I know. I'm gonna go with that.
Okay. Okay, these are kind of creepy. The next question. Choose a creepy doll.
Creepy. Oh my gosh. Is Annabelle one of them? Let's see. No, wow. I'm surprised they didn't pick Annabelle on this one. Okay, they all look like really old dolls that you would find in the Goodwill store or vintage that are really worn out.
This is the stuff that is nightmare inducing for me.
Yeah, it is. I think this is for everyone. I'm just surprised they didn't put Annabelle on there. Like that's scary. That was scary.
Yeah. Wow.
One of them is just a head.
Yeah.
One of these pictures is just a head. Where's her body?
Oh God.
Again, I'm gonna go to the second to last one because that kind of looks like a clown a little bit if you look at the outfit.
Yeah. Okay. Then choose a TV show. We got
right.
American Horror Story, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, Twin Peaks, Pretty Little Liars, Supernatural, The Walking Dead, and The X-Files.
Is Game of Thrones really, would you say, a scary? That's not a really scary one.
To me, no, it wasn't scary, but it did have some horror elements to it. Yeah.
It did. I would have to say probably Stranger Things.
Okay.
I'm a fan of Stranger Things.
I love Stranger Things.
Yeah, it's a great series, and what's his name is of course is in one of the actors is also in Stephen King's It, Chapter 1 and 2. So
okay. All right, now which of these words do you hate the most?
Oh goodness.
Orifice, squirt, panties, secrete, slurp, pustule, fester, mucus, or maggot.
Interesting. I wonder, like, what. Okay.
Yeah, this is weird.
This is really weird. I'm gonna say, probably mucus.
Mucus? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Okay.
mucus.
Alrighty, then choose a non-Stephen King
Oh, okay.
novel.
Oh, wow, these are like non-horror.
Yeah, wow. Gone Girl, Charlotte's Web,
Oh,
The
that's
Great.
such a cute movie.
That was The Great
It's a cute
Gatsby,
movie and book. Okay.
The Martian, The Goldfinch, which is a movie coming out as well, The Hate You Give, Lord of the Flies, The Fault in Our Stars. Their eyes were watching God.
I'm gonna go with Charlotte's Web.
Okay.
Yeah. Classic. It's classic.
Okay, then look again. Pick the photo that makes you the most uneasy.
Ooh. Okay, so we got like a person's mouth that's
Yeah.
kind of like cut, like with
Covered
skin
up.
on it. Yeah. And then we have like fog with like
People in the distance.
people. Yeah. And then we got, oh, poor girl. She's
It
like
looks
laying.
a skeleton next to a skeleton.
Yeah, girl's like laying down and then
Old
there's
photo shoot.
Yeah, and the other one's like a scary woods, heights, and then long corridor, and then we got cockroaches,
Wow.
and then
I don't know what
plants, and then sharks. I would go with heights.
Okay, I think he's about to jump. That's what I was trying to insinuate, I guess.
Oh, is that one? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll probably take that. I'll still take that one.
Okay, we got it. So you got 11/22/63.
Interesting.
You don't like having regrets, and you'll do whatever it takes to fix whatever mistakes you made in your past. Of course, sometimes your efforts end up making things worse, and eventually you know that you'll just have to accept things and move forward. And like, I never read the book, but I know, isn't this a TV show on Hulu?
I think it is.
JFK's assassination.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, this is like one of the, I mean, obviously every Stephen King is very iconic, but this is not like one of those, heavily.
It's the first I've heard of him writing a book for it. I never knew that.
Yeah, actually, me too. Wow. And
that's crazy.
And in the picture it says JFK slain in Dallas.
Dallas. LBJ takes oath.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Right?
So definitely, if anyone wants to see what Stephen King novel are you, definitely take this quiz. This was a good quiz, actually.
Yeah, well, that was fun. I mean, some was kind of weird, but
yeah, the one with the words, I'm like, out of all the words, why those?
Right. So. That was weird.
Yeah, like I can understand like which makes like your favorite scary movie, and or maybe non-scary movies. So
right. Well, it's BuzzFeed. They're kind of weird.
It's BuzzFeed. Yeah, that's true. It is BuzzFeed. So, but that was cool.
All right. So now we'll talk about the upcoming movies to be released on September 20th, 2019. First up is Downton Abbey. It's directed by Michael Engler and starring Matthew Good, Maggie Smith, and Michelle Dockery. It's based on the Smash TV show, and the movie continues the story of the Crawley family. I never watched the show. I'm assuming this is just like a 2-hour episode of the show. I mean, I really have no interest to see it. What about you, Shoshana?
If I saw the series, because I never saw the series, I would probably see this movie. So I wouldn't say I would pass it, but I wouldn't say I would see it right away.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if it's on HBO at one point.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll indulge. Who knows? Then let's see. There's Ad Astra, which is directed by James Gray and Dan Bradley. It stars Brad Pitt, Liv Tyler, and Ruth Negga. It is about a journey of an astronaut in search of his father. I don't know. I saw the preview for this several times over the last couple of months, and I just look confused. I mean, I guess I'll go see it out of interest. I mean, like, I like Brad Pitt and Liv Tyler.
I would see this probably like rent it. I would see it. I wouldn't see it in the theaters per se, but I would see it because it's like a sci-fi thriller mysterious action film.
It looks cool, but it looks
It does
confusing.
look cool. It does look confusing though, but it looks cool though.
All right, and then lastly, we got Rambo: Last Blood. Oh yeah.
I think this is your movie, Billy. This is your movie.
Directed by Adrian Grunberg and stars Sylvester Stallone, Paz Vega, and Yvette Monreal. It's about a revenge mission for Rambo, where he must confront his past in what is supposedly his last mission.
Let me ask you this, Billy. How many Rambo movies and how many Rocky movies are there?
Oh God.
That's the real question here.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I've only seen one Rambo movie, and that was the one prior to this movie, like I don't know, 10 years ago. It was a very heavy movie, actually.
Oh, okay. I only saw the first one, the first Rambo, the original.
Yeah, I never saw that one, but like the past Rambo, I mean, that was a pretty heavy movie.
As soon as I saw, as soon as you read it, I'm like, this is Billy's movie. But yeah, I would probably not see this in the theater, but I would probably end up watching it eventually.
It's I can't wait. I mean, that's just Stallone. I love all the Rocky movies, and he just puts out good work to me. I'm a fan.
Oh yeah. I mean, you have to say though, the first Rambo and the first Rocky were iconic, and it changed the way of film industry, and I thought
Absolutely.
They were both really good.
Like Rocky, I mean, like one of my buddies, Dean, actually, he talked about in his podcast that he thinks that Rocky's actually responsible for starting the fitness craze in America, because like after he saw the first Rocky movie, the day after, he laced up his sneakers and went on a run.
Wow.
And Dean actually still runs to this day at like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, wow, that's dedication. That is a lot of dedication. I'm sure it did start like a fitness craze. I'm sure it did. Yeah. Wow.
He had a point. He had a good point. I believe it to be true too. I mean,
yeah.
I wasn't born when the movie came out, but still, I could see that being a possibility.
Yeah, and that's why I said it's an iconic movie, Rocky. And the famous scene, he runs up the steps and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Philly. I did run up the steps, and
nice.
It wasn't that hard at all. It's not that there aren't that many steps.
No. But it's like the whole point of Rocky getting into shape, getting for the final, fight and everything. But did you have the like your phone or iPod playing the music too?
Oh no,
you should have. Next time you ever go, you should just play the theme and start running up.
I don't think I even had an iPhone back then. Actually, it was like, God, 8 years ago or 9 years ago? I'm not sure. Yeah, I didn't think
Get your cassette player.
I had a cassette player. I think I had a BlackBerry then. I can't remember. I don't know, but
you could have gotten your cassette player and play the theme music.
I mean, to be fair, like in the movie, Rocky covers a heck of a lot more ground than I did. We were running from, I guess, his apartment, was it, all the way?
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, that's a good amount of territory, but
yeah. Plus, he was wearing sweats, and he was wearing, that could make anyone sweat. So.
Yeah, but
I'm glad you ran the steps.
if you just start off at the foot of the steps, it's not that big of a deal.
No.
But it's fun to do. Everybody goes and runs up the stairs, and they throw their hands up like he did,
Of course. If anyone goes there, they're like, "This is where Rocky did it, so I have to do it." Yeah, exactly.
There's actually a really cool video out there, like, which I used to do my research on before we went on our trip so we can go see all the cool spots of Philly, which is really, pardon my French, a shithole. But there's a YouTuber out there that I've been following for years. His name is the Angry Video Game Nerd, and if you could, dig it up somehow, he released a video called Rocky Jumped the Park Bench, in which he detailed and gave out the actual addresses of all the all the iconic scenes within Rocky, like Adrian's pet shop, and like he gave away like Mick's gym, which is actually right across the street from Adrian's pet shops, and like
That's awesome.
it's such a cool video. If you find it out there, dig it up. It's worth watching. It was very
That's
cool.
awesome. That's really awesome.
Very informative if you're going to Philly. It's not the nicest neighborhood.
Yeah, be safe. Be safe when you go to Philly. Definitely. But that's cool though. That's really cool that he went all the spots and everything.
Yeah.
And that's so really cool. Even if you can't go to Philly, it's just worth just seeing the video.
Oh yeah, he did a great job on it. It was documentary style. It was fun. Very cool video.
Awesome. That's awesome. I like stuff like that.
All right, I guess we'll wrap it up then. All right. So, all right, that will do it for this episode of the Movie Grader and Friends podcast. Next week, expect a podcast episode on Rambo: Last Blood. Please find me on Instagram and Twitter at The Movie Grader, and please visit my website, www.themoviegrader.com. On iTunes, please review and subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. Also, please tell your friends about the podcast. Thank you so much for your support. The Movie Grader and Friends podcast is available on all major podcast platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and basically anywhere you can get your podcasts. This has been the Movie Grader and Friends podcast. Thank you for your time. Feel free to email me at themoviegrader@gmail.com with any comments or suggestions, and see you guys next week.